Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Senate Education Committee. Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Chairperson Cano,
Here.
Senator Gallo,
Here.
Senator Quesada,
Here.
Senator Calkin,
Here.
Senator De Palma,
Here.
Senator Paulino,
Here.
Senator Pearson,
Here.
Senator Seveny, President Ruggerio.
Here.
Madam Chair, we have 9 members. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. We have a great agenda today in our committee. So I'm going to start with Senate Bill number 79. This bill is by our Senate President Ruggerio, an act related to education, which removes the requirement that the scholarship program cease with the enrollment of the high school graduating class of 2021 at the Community College of Rhode Island. Mr. President, how are you today?
I'm doing well, Madam Chair. How are you doing?
We're doing great. We are ready for your testimony.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Chair and members of the committee. A few months back, I had a conversation with Governor Raimondo, and she asked me, knowing that where she was going, she asked me if I would continue to support the Promise program, along with another program that she brought forth, and that was very successful. Promise has been very successful. The legislation would remove the sunset provision and make the Promise program permanent. Obviously, as all our programs, everything is contingent upon funding, but I think it's a worthy program to consider. It provides 2 years of cost-free tuition assistance to qualifying Rhode Island High School students who attend CCRI. In doing so, it removes one of the most common barriers to pursuing higher education, and that is the cost. The Innovative Promise program helps to set Rhode Island apart as a state that is committed to post-secondary education and training. More than 70% of the jobs in Rhode Island will require a post-secondary degree in the coming years. Less than half of the state's population has a degree beyond high school. Almost 90% of Rhode Island 12th graders say they plan to get a college degree, yet less than 2/3 of those individuals ever enroll. Low-income students spend nearly 75% of the family's income to cover the cost of college. Middle-class students spend nearly 1/3 of that amount. Students currently graduate from Rhode Island's public colleges with an average debt of in excess of $35,000, and that's the second highest in any state. A high school diploma is often insufficient in today's economy. An associate's degree is often a minimum requirement, like a high school diploma used to be. This proposal will expand opportunities for additional training after high school at CCRI. It would promote certification completion in conjunction with associate's degree completion in vocational fields such as CNAs and advanced manufacturing. It removes barriers to the completion of a degree, and it incentivizes completion of the degree. Education has been a top priority for the Senate. As many of you know who have been here, we had a number of proposals last year before we ultimately shut down because of the coronavirus that were focused on education, and we've made some great advances in the past, and I'm immensely proud of the Senate for everything that they have done. I think this proposal is worth consideration. I think it'll be helpful to many of our students in the state of Rhode Island. It's a 2-year program, and obviously funding is always an issue, but we have the funding for it at this point in time, and I'm asking for favorable consideration from the committee, and I am willing to entertain any questions any of the members from the committee have.
Thank you, Mr. President. Does any member of the committee has a question or a comment to our president?
Madam Chair.
Senator De Palma.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator President, thanks for bringing this forward, and I'm glad to be able to sponsor it. What we've seen over the years, I said this in finance when we've heard this bill in the past, is that if you look at CCRI today, and if you look at CCRI prior to Rhode Island Promise, Rhode Island Promise hasn't just changed the lives of the individuals, young adults that are part of the Rhode Island Promise program, it's changed the entire college. In order for the college to ensure that the students met the requirements and the commitments that come along with the Rhode Island Promise Scholarship, they needed to put in block scheduling, pathways, some of the math programs that they have, things that are associated with Complete College America. They've done that. So not only has the RI Promise benefited all those students, young adults that are part of the Rhode Island Promise program, it's benefited the entire college. And that's why we've seen the numbers, while there's still a lot of work to go, the numbers move up 200, 300% with regards to graduation, continuation at the college. So, Senator President, thanks for bringing this forward, and thanks for letting me be a sponsor of it. And we need to bring this over the goal line. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator DePalma. I couldn't agree more. I think that this program have really made a lot of students have access to higher education, which I'm very proud that Rhode Island has this program right now. Any other members of the committee have any questions or comments for Mr. President? Senator Gallo.
Comment, please. I want to thank the President for bringing this legislation forward, because it would be a shame if it were to expire. It has been a huge success, and it allows so many of our students in the state that need it desperately. So I just want to congratulate him again for putting it in, and hopefully we can continue to fund it for a long time, because it does make a difference for so many students. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Gallo. Any other members of the committee that has a question or a comment? That being none, I would like to welcome some of the testimony that we have for today's bill S79, and the first person in the agenda is Megan Hughes, President of the Community College of Rhode Island, on support. Good afternoon, President. President Megan Hughes?
Yes. Good evening. Can you hear me, Chairwoman Cano?
Yes, we can hear you. Welcome to Senate Education Committee.
Thank you so very much, and thank you to you and to the members of the committee for providing CCRI the opportunity to testify this evening in support of removing the sunset on the Rhode Island Promise Scholarship Program. I want to begin by thanking the Senate President. Thank you, Senate President Ruggerio, and your fellow sponsors for bringing this important bill forward. Thank you for understanding just how important and impactful this scholarship program is for our students and their families. This evening, I'll make very brief introductory remarks about the success and impact of the program, and then turn it over to Vice President Enright to then walk us through how we measure the impact of the program. We look forward to the opportunity to respond to the committee's questions. If we go back to the original 2017 legislation, that legislation had two stated goals with this scholarship program. First, to increase enrollment. Second, to increase graduation rates. We certainly have seen that the Rhode Island Promise Scholarship Program, as Senator DePalma referenced, has helped CCRI students achieve dramatic gains with both. Vice President Enright will walk you through that data, and will disaggregate that data to show the encouraging rise in enrollment and graduation for both our low-income and our students of color. I'll close now with just the following two data points. I know this is education and not finance, but as Rhode Islanders, I know we all are thinking hard about where our investments are going. We know that Promise is producing a higher investment of federal dollars. We are bringing in more Pell dollars now than we were prior to the launch of this program. What that means is, with respect to the Promise program specifically, for every dollar that Rhode Island invests in this program, we bring roughly $1.30 in federal Pell dollars into this program. That's the kind of work we want to be doing with our federal government, and we want to thank Rhode Island for making that possible. Our Pell students are enrolling in this program and graduating at an encouraging rate, and we have the Rhode Island Promise Scholarship to thank. Second point, when we look at what has happened from prior to the launch of this program to right now, we see that statewide, Rhode Island has benefited from a 15% increase in Rhode Island high school seniors enrolling in college. We know that the Promise program is a direct contributor to that increase. I won't repeat what the Senate President said. I couldn't say it better myself. We know that the times have changed from when our grandparents and our parents were finishing high school. We know that for Rhode Islanders to have a shot at a family-sustaining wage and the life they aspire to for themselves and their families, they will need an education past high school. The Rhode Island Promise Scholarship Program has made that opportunity real for thousands of Rhode Islanders. I want to close by thanking the General Assembly for its vision to create this program, and I'll turn it over to Vice President Enright to walk you through the data.
Thank you, President Megan Hughes, for a great presentation. And at this time, I'd like to welcome you guests.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair Cano, and thank you to this entire committee, particularly to the Senate President for support of this program. I think to put it in the simplest terms, the two stated goals is Rhode Island Promise helping more Rhode Island high school graduates go to college and helping more of them graduate from college in a timely manner. And I think the data shows that emphatically the answer to both of those questions is yes. So first, to the question of students going to college, and President Hughes just spoke to this to some degree, but I want to expand on not only the increase, but who is going to college today compared to pre-promise times. So Rhode Island Kids Count and RIDE work together to look at what's called the college going rate each year. That looks at how many of our high school graduates end up in college the subsequent year. Before Promise, that figure stood at 59%. So 59% of our grads were going from high school into college right after high school. That number in the fall of 2019, and we'll soon see this year's data, but the most recent data we have is 2019, that number went up to 68%. That's a number that's been pretty stable for many years, and Promise drove it from 59% up to 68%. That is substantial positive change and exactly what we want to see if we need Rhode Island students, families, and our labor market to be thriving. I think what's really heartening beneath that data is that it has really opened access for low-income students. Again, who has historically lacked access to higher education in our state and in our nation? You see that more so with our low-income student population. That figure in the first 2 years of Promise went from 44% college-going rate to 56%. So that is a huge gain of 12 percentage points for the students who most need and deserve a shot to get a college education in our state. So I think overall we can see the impact that this program is having not only on individual students and their families and our college, but on our state overall. You also certainly see that reflected in our enrollment numbers when you look at this Promise population of the first-time, full-time, straight from high school Rhode Islanders. There's been, over the course of Promise's 4 years, 106% growth in the enrollment of that population. So 100% growth would be doubling. We've seen more than doubling. And if all populations were growing at the same rate, we'd see 106% for any group that we look at. But we see what I would say is better news than that, and that is our low-income student population and our students of color are growing at even faster rates. So while the overall cohort is growing at 106%, Cal, or what is the best proxy for low income, those students are growing at 112%. Students of color, 155%. So again, if ever there were sort of something that we collectively need and want to tackle with respect to higher education, it's ensuring that everyone in our state has a shot to get in the door. And Promise has done precisely that. And I think that's what we see in the data. But we all know, and Senator DePalma sort of started to speak to this, it's not good enough just to get students to college. And I don't think anyone would be pleased with this program if it stopped at the door. We need to get students to and through college in a timely manner. And that's what this program is doing. So I'm going to walk you through a handful of different figures, and then I'm happy to take questions. But first, we'll speak to the 2-year graduation rate, which is, I think, historically what we would think of a community college education. Get in your first 2 years, get your associate degree, get out. I can talk about why the 3-year is perhaps a more common measure, but let's focus on the 2-year because I think we've seen meaningful and substantial gains any way we look at the data. So with the overall 2-year graduation rate, CCRI historically, and when I say historically, I'm looking at our performance-based funding, the way it's looked at. We look at a five-year historical average. That number was 4%. So we had a 4% 2-year graduation rate for our first-time full-time students. It's now at 18%. So in a span of just a few years, we've gone from 4% to 18%. That's virtually unprecedented in the higher ed landscape. And again, I think what's heartening is that while we still have substantial equity gaps that we need to continue to focus on as an institution, we are seeing very strong gains for low-income students and students of color. So the historical data is sobering and frankly a little bit hard to share. Our historical 2-year graduation rate for students of color was 2%. It's now 11%. Again, there's a long ways to go from 11%, but we were at 2%. With our low-income Pell-funded students, we were at 3%, and we are now at 12%. So there's no part of me that's here to celebrate 11%, 12%, or 18%, but I'm certainly going to celebrate the tremendous gains we've made and the direction in which we're moving, and I can attribute a lot of that to Rhode Island Promise as a driver, a catalyst, a door opener, and really a promise that has helped not just get students in school, but keep them engaged semester after semester, keep them enrolled full time. So I'd also like to speak to the 3-year graduation rate because I think realistically, given the many challenges that students confront, given the many demands on their time, given the developmental education needs of some students coming in the door, 3 years is often a meaningful measure as well. So with the 3-year graduation rate, when we came into the institution, the 5-year average was 15%. Our 3-year graduation rate is now 30%. So again, 15 to 30, those sorts of gains are uncommon, if not unprecedented in higher education. It puts us from far below the national average to above the national average and among the leaders in New England community colleges. Again, we're seeing meaningful gains within the low-income student and students of color population, with the students of color 3-year graduation rate going from 8% to 21%, and the Pell student 3-year graduation rate going from 12% to 25%. So I know that we're not together in the same room, and I've just shared many, many numbers via phone, but if I could summarize, I would just say that when I look at this data, I feel really good about the fact that the meaningful work we do with students every day in a one-on-one fashion, it is leading to these meta-level, macro-level impacts for the program, for our college, and ultimately for our state. So if we go back to what were we trying to do as a state when this policy started out, we were trying to get more young adults going to college and have more of them succeed in a timely manner. And I believe the data shows that the program is doing both of those. So thank you all very much for your time and your support. And I think President Hughes and I are both happy to take questions.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, President Hughes. This is great presentation, and we all receive a copy of the presentation. So for me particularly, I like to say that I am very happy to see the students of colors and the growth of the access to CCRI or to the enrollment. And we all know those students had the barrier of the finances, and so these students that are from low-income communities to be able to go to college is really great. And also, like, just to see those low-income students of color graduating and the difference between 2% to 11% for me is great to celebrate. Obviously, I'm biased. I'm a CCRI graduate, so I'm really happy to see this program, started and hopefully continue that we continue to support it and go. That's why I'm a proud co-sponsor of this bill. At this time, I do have a question. And I would like to open so for some members of the committee to have some questions as well. But the first question I have is, what are other barriers that you see, aside from finances, that this is covering, preventing Rhode Islanders from attending and graduating from CCRI? Do you identify any other barriers?
Thank you so much, Chairwoman Cano, and we are incredibly honored that you are a CCRI alum, and we thank you for co-sponsoring the bill. I think what I would offer is self-evident to you, and what I would say is really the following. Vice President Enright touched on one of the barriers, which is simply students arriving at the college needing additional upskilling, up-training in order to be able to succeed in credit-bearing work. And I know that's not the thrust of tonight's conversation, but I would simply say it's early days for us at CCRI, but we are building encouraging partnerships with RIDE and look forward to doing more of that and scaling it across the state. I think second, and certainly the pandemic has exacerbated the kinds of challenges you're imagining, but they were there pre-pandemic. Some of those, as Senator DePalma, I think at least obliquely referenced, we've been able to make progress with, and with others we have significantly more work to do. So when I think about just the operational sort of blood and guts of our college, when we arrived several years ago, we really had a cafeteria-style kind of community college. It made it very difficult for our students to have a sense of what a pathway to and through CCRI could look like. So we've put much effort into designing clear pathways that link to career pathways and into the four-year space. In addition, we've built what higher ed folks will call a master schedule, where folks, working students, folks, including our Promise students, who need to be able to take their classes in a logical, seamless fashion so that they can go on to the next part of their days, which in the majority of our students, that's going to be one or two jobs. Finally, I would say the majority of our students are low-income students, and that means that even with the Rhode Island Promise, even with Pell dollars, that is covering, as you know, the tuition costs. Our students are going to face, as the Senate President referenced, in terms of the total cost of being a college student, they need to make it possible. They need to get their way to our college, transportation costs, housing costs. A crucial one, certainly, for many of our students is childcare. So we have work there to do. I think we're making progress. We've built and launched an Office of Community and Social Resources, knowing that, look, we're a community college, so we can't do all of this ourselves, but what we can do is a much more intentional job of connecting our students to the resources that do exist in Rhode Island and making sure we show up and making that available to them. So that's a sort of a partial list, and I hope that gets at responding to your question.
Yes, thank you, President Hughes. I really appreciate all the background, and I'm really looking forward to hear about those training skill collaboration classes that you have with RIDE. At this time, I'd like to open for questions to any member of the committee or any comment that you may have.
Madam Chair, if I may?
Senator DePalma.
Very quickly, so President Hughes and Vice President Enright, thanks for your work. We are where we are because of your efforts to ensure that, obviously, not just Rhode Island Promise recipients, but all students at the Community College of Rhode Island benefit from what's happening. We thank you for it. I'm reminded, because I went back and did this a while back, and none of us were around 128 years ago, and the president at the time, it's not going to be a quiz, was Benjamin Harrison. Back then, the Committee of 10 met, and prior to that, the only compulsory education paid for by the public dollar was grade 1 through grade 9. Why I finished at 9, who knows? From that committee of 10 report and study and analysis that was done began high school. Ultimately went to court, and from there we now have, well, in Rhode Island, obviously because of Senator Gallo, amongst other things, K across the board through high school. 128 years. 128 years of that model. I think it's about time that we in Rhode Island have taken that step. It's about time we in Rhode Island take the step officially and formally and move it across the goal line with regards to making this, sunsetting this provision. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator De Palma. Does any other member of the committee have any questions or comments for either President Hughes or for Sandra Enright? I do have one more question, and I think this is probably a little harder question. I do acknowledge that the Rhode Island Promise helped many students go to college who couldn't otherwise attend. But I hear some concern about some people that Rhode Island college enrollment has decreased since the Rhode Island Promise started. Of course, we want to continue supporting the Rhode Island Promise program, but we also want to make sure that we help our other higher education, programs in the state. So how does Rhode Island Promise affect Rhode Island College from your stand of view, and how can we help them to make sure that they continue having the enrollment that they used to have?
Sure. Thank you, Chair. This is Vice President Enright. Happy to speak to that. While I don't think I can speak to the very specifics of Rhode Island College's enrollment, I think I would answer the questions in two ways. One is with respect to overall college enrollment in our state, and two is talking a little bit about transfer. But to start with overall college enrollment in our state, earlier I referenced the college going rate and the fact that that has gone up from 59% to 68% over the course of this program. If you look at the detailed data, you can see in the first 2 years of the program that the college going rate saw its big jump there. Most of Promise's growth happened between the first 2 years of the program, and the college going rate during that time went up by 8 percentage points, from 59 to 67. What's most interesting, though, is almost all of the growth came within the 2-year college going rate. So the way that you get to that 8% is actually a 9% increase in students going to 2-year colleges and a 1% decrease in students going to 4-year colleges. So the majority of what's going on with Promise, when you talk about broadening access and seeing more people go to college, is that you're seeing a huge jump in community college enrollment and a very minimal impact on the overall 4-year landscape. If you think about what a dip of 1 percentage point means, assume we have roughly 10,000 high school graduates each year. 1% notch down would mean 100 fewer students overall going to 4-year institutions. So that's the impact on the overall 4-year landscape in our state. What that means for Rhode Island College versus any other institution is tough to say. I know that enrollment is tricky across higher education generally. There has been declines across all sorts of institutions. So I'm best equipped to speak to CCRI, and then generally I can speak to sort of college going rates. I think the other thing that I would say is, boy, we certainly hope that as this program continues to grow and expand, that it continues to fuel healthy transfer. And I think we are seeing that. So the good news is CCRI has still had strong transfer, and over the course of Promise, we've actually seen increasing rates of transfer to Rhode Island College and URI. And so I think as the program continues to grow, continues to see student success, we're really going to have sort of a machine that starts to send more and more students to Rhode Island College and the University of Rhode Island in particular. We know that Rhode Island College is our single largest transfer partner. The University of Rhode Island is second, and all other institutions fall far below the two of those. So I would say that while I can't speak to the exact details, I would say the big win with Promise it has dramatically increased college going. That's been almost entirely driven by gains in the 2-year college going rate. And we feel very good about where we are with transfer and where we're headed in the future with transfer.
Thank you so much for that answer. I think that that's what I was looking for, to really gather the information in terms of like understanding that while we are expanding the program, that we are able to continue the healthy transfers that you mentioned, and that we continue supporting our, other colleges that are also like, very good for our state. So really appreciate the collaboration and really looking forward for this program to expand and also to strengthen the relationship between CCRI, Rhode Island College, and URI. So this is great. I really appreciate you both, and if no any other members of the committee have a question or comment.
Had a comment.
Okay, Senator Quesada.
Going back to the conversation that you just had with them, one of the things that I hear a lot in the community about Rhode Island College, that's what you was talking about, is the increase that they have in Rhode Island College. And many people said that the reason they increase Rhode Island College and URI is because they try to get the money that they given to them through CCRI. Then those are a lot of the comment that you hear, especially in the community, for people who want to go to URI or Rhode Island College. Then I don't know if that is true, but they said it being a big increase for people to be able to go to both of those colleges.
Thank you, Senator Quesada. Does any of you have a comment for Senator Quesada? Do you know if you have any information about the increase on tuition or the comments that she just made?
So I apologize to the committee. I think this is a really good example of why we much prefer to be in the room, and we hope to be able to do that next spring. I was not clear. If it would be possible to restate the question, I want to make sure we answer it correctly.
Thank you, President.
It wasn't a question, more a comment that I hear that it's an increase on tuition for people to be able to go to URI and Rhode Island College.
I see. I apologize. Thank you. So I think it's a great question, and I think, in fact, I just participated in the post-secondary council retreat today, where both President Sanchez from Rhode Island College and I spoke with the commissioner about the importance of having a predictable tuition policy, and that is certainly something we look forward to bringing to the council for its consideration. So I can't comment specifically on what Rhode Island College or URI has undertaken with their tuition. I will simply say I know we all share a desire to have a predictable tuition policy and model for Rhode Islanders.
Thank you, President. I think that that's a great point of a start. Like, I know that you may not have the answers, but that was great. I really appreciate it. At this point, I'd like to ask any other members of the committee have any question or a comment. That being done, I would entertain a motion to hold made by Senator De Palma.
Second.
Seconded by Senator Quesada. Claire, can you call the roll? Actually, give me 1 second. Before we do that, I apologize. If we could rescind that motion, we have somebody else in the list on support that has signed up to testify, so I have to call that person.
Madam Chair, I'll withdraw the motion.
Thank you so much, Senator De Palma, seconded by Senator Paulino. Thank you, President Hughes and Sarah. At this time, we'd like to welcome the other person that signed up for testimony, which is Paige Close Park from Rhode Island Kids Count, in support of this legislation. Paige, welcome to the Education Committee. How are you today?
Hello, Madam Chair. I'm good. Thank you.
I am so sorry. We almost missed you, but I'm glad that I was called out on that. So welcome to the committee, and we're ready for your testimony.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Madam Chair and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity for our testimony today. As you all know, I'm Paige Closhes Park, Senior Policy Analyst at Rhode Island Kids Count. we would like to voice our strong support for Senate Bill 79. Kids Count is proud to be the lead convener of the Rhode Island Alliance for College and Career Readiness. And this alliance is composed of community-based organizations and statewide leaders when together we identify and advocate for legislative and budgetary investments that are needed to increase college and career readiness and access and to address racial, ethnic, and income disparities. The Rhode Island Promise Scholarship is one that we have had our close eye on and strongly support and advocate for. We've already heard some really great data and points. President Ruggerio mentioned many of the points that I have in my written testimony, and Vice President Enright did awesome with the data. But you'll see in our written testimony there is a visual graph of some of the data points that were mentioned around the increase in the overall college enrollment rates since the Promise Scholarship started, and as well as the increase in the two-year college enrollment rates. And we completely agree with you, Chairwoman Cano, that these are great gains. These are equity gains that we should celebrate. But the pandemic has hit us in the middle of really looking at and seeing the growth of this program and our equity gains. And we know that the pandemic is projected to have devastating, long-lasting effects on children, and specifically on children in poverty and children of color. And it is Black and Hispanic households who are projected to face the greatest increase in poverty, and racial and ethnic disparities may be exacerbated. And this is why it is critical to continue efforts to increase college enrollment and completion, especially for these groups, so we do not lose those equity gains that we saw before the pandemic. In addition to this bill, we also support the governor's proposal to expand the Rhode Island Promise Scholarship to include working parents, students who have amassed college credits, and students who are unable to enroll at CCRI immediately after high school because of the pandemic. We also support your bill, Senate Bill 462, which would exclude scholarships from the College Crusade as financial aid for Rhode Island Promise. And this would allow Crusaders, who are 95% students of color, and all of whom are low-income students, to use their Crusade dollars to purchase other costly expenses like textbooks, laptops, food, and some of those other barriers that were addressed in your previous questions. And so we highly encourage you to please consider making Rhode Island Promise Scholarship permanent. The Alliance is happy to share our ideas about how to make the Promise Scholarship the best program it can be. I'm happy to take questions, but this will conclude my testimony, and thank you again.
Thank you so much, Paige, for your testimony. We celebrate these good games together for sure. And I want to make sure that I could open some questions for members of the committee or any comment to Paige. That being none, thank you so much, Paige, and we're looking forward to working together.
Thank you.
And that would conclude our testimony for today. For this
Motion to hold.
Motion to hold on the table by
Second.
Senator De Palma, seconded by Senator Paulino. Claire, can you please call the roll?
Chairperson Cano,
Yes.
Senator Gallo,
Yes.
Senator Quesada, Senator Quesada,
Yes, sorry.
Senator Calkin,
Yes.
Senator De Palma,
Yes.
Senator Paulino,
Yes.
Senator Pearson,
Yes.
Senator Seveny,
Yes.
President Ruggerio, President Ruggerio. Madam Chair, we have 7 in the affirmative.
Thank you so much. So the bill has been moved and passed to hold for further study. Our second bill in the agenda is Bill 462, which is the College Crusade Scholarship. This is my bill, and I'll be happy to explain the bill to the members of the committee. This bill would help students get more money for college. The Rhode Island Promise Scholarship takes in consideration all of the financial aid a student receives towards 2 years of tuition and fees and pays for what is left. It does not cover other things like books or room and board like we heard in the testimony previous to this. Under the current law, College Crusade scholarships could be considered financial aid. This proposed change would let students receive the Rhode Island Promise Scholarship to pay for tuition and use the College Crusade funds for other educational expenses. Basically, I believe the College Crusade program is very valuable to many of our students, and it is not okay for a student to have that scholarship from the College Crusade count for against themselves as part of financial aid when they do the accountability of the funds. And so I would love to entertain any questions for members of the committee at this time. That being none, we do not have anybody that signed up to testify on this bill, but we do have some written testimony in support. I will entertain a motion to hold.
So moved.
Motion to hold made by Senator DePalma and seconded by
Second.
Senator Paulino, Senator Quesada.
Yeah.
Can you please call the roll?
Chairperson Cano,
Yes.
Senator Gallo,
Yes.
Senator Quesada,
Yes.
Senator Calkin,
Yes.
Senator DePalma,
Yes.
Senator Paulino,
Yes.
Senator Pearson,
Yes.
Senator Seveny,
Yes.
President Ruggerio,
Yes, and can I be recorded on the previous votes in the affirmative, please?
yes.
Yes, President.
No, thank you.
Madam Chair, we have 8 in the affirmative.
Thank you. That bill has been moved to hold for further study. The third bill in our agenda is Senate Bill 213, an act related to education, apprenticeship pathways to earning a bachelor's degree. This creates the Apprenticeship Pathways to Earn a Bachelor's Degree Act to enable an individual to earn a bachelor's degree at a public higher education institution through the state by earning credits to apprenticeships. And this is a bill by Senator Gallo. Senator Gallo?
Very well said. You said it all. I think it's something that we need right now, and apprenticeships are definitely a way to better jobs, and I'm here to answer any questions if anybody has any.
We have no members of the committee that have any questions or comments. At this time, I will entertain a motion to hold.
So moved.
Motion to hold.
Second.
Moved by Senator Gallo, seconded by
Second.
Senator Seveny and DePalma. Claire, can you call the roll?
Chairperson Cano,
Yes.
Senator Gallo,
Yes.
Senator Quesada,
Yes.
Senator Calkin,
Yes.
Senator DePalma,
Yes.
Senator Paulino,
Yes.
Senator Pearson,
Yes.
Senator Seveny,
Yes.
President Ruggerio.
Yes.
Madam Chair, we have 9 in the affirmative.
Thank you, Chair. At this time, we have next in the agenda Senate Resolution number 281. It's a Senate resolution by Senator Gallo. Senator Gallo.
So this Senate resolution respectfully requesting that the Office of the Post-Secondary Commissioner form a work group to conduct a thorough review into how Rhode Island can protect student loan borrowers. At this point, we have many students that are going bankrupt, and they cannot afford their loans. The loans are just, I don't know how many people, if you've looked at it, but students continue to pay and pay and pay, and somehow they never get even close to being able to pay for their loans, and they can never get a leg up. So this would look into what we could do for those students and hopefully be able to help them. And it would be a study group. I'm here to answer any questions. If not, I'm here to move passage.
Thank you so much, Senator Gallo. I just want to make sure I say for the record that Senator Pearson has requested to be recused from this specific resolution. So that is noted. And I just want to also make a comment. I think that it's very important that we do protect the borrowers with these student loans. And so this is not only timely, but I think that it is important to send this resolution and making sure that we request the post-secondary commissioner to conduct a review into the protection of the student loan for our borrowers as well. So at this time, I will...
Madam Chair, I'll second the motion.
Senator Calkin, do you have a question or a comment?
Yes, thank you. Senator Gallo, thank you for putting this in. I know I've heard from a lot of people about, they keep paying and paying and paying on their loans, and it just doesn't seem to affect, their balance. So, yeah, I think this would be great. And I imagine, though, that some of it, because they have, like, national student loans, would have to be done at the federal level. But for is your goal to try to look at the loans within the state and try to reduce interest rates or things like that?
Correct, to see what avenues we might be able to take. So, but start at a statewide, obviously start here, see what we can do for our students to see if there is any kind of remedy, and then move on from there.
That's great. It would be interesting to see, too, if they had any recommendations for the national level about how to reduce those rates and make it easier for students to pay back their loans. Thank you.
I agree with you, Senator. Thank you.
Senator Calkin, thank you so much for those comments. And Senator Gallo, yes, I also agree with Senator Calkin. So at this time, I would entertain motion to passage, which was already stated by Senator Gallo and seconded by Senator DePalma. Claire, can you call the roll, please?
Chairperson Cano?
Yes.
Senator Gallo?
Yes.
Senator Quesada?
Yes.
Senator Calkin?
Yes.
Senator DePalma?
Yes?
Senator Paulino?
Yes.
Senator Seveny?
Yes.
President Ruggerio?
Yes.
Madam Chair, we have 8 in the affirmative and 1 recusal.
Thank you so much. This bill has passed to the floor. At this time, I would like to welcome Senate Bill 152 by Senator Mack, and are related to education, health, and safety of pupils, requiring feminine hygiene products to provide in all universities and colleges at no cost to students. Senator Mack, are you with us today?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Welcome to the Education Committee, and we're ready for your testimony.
Awesome. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the Senate Education Committee. I will start with a brief overview of what my bill does, and then I'll go into why this bill is so important. And I'm really excited to have a few folks here to testify tonight as well. So this bill, starting in the school year 2022 to 23, will provide students with menstrual products in private and college universities. They will have access to these products in women and gender-neutral restrooms, and these products will also be made available in the form of pads and tampons. So we need to make sure that all Rhode Islanders and college students have menstrual products access in the form of free menstrual products. And Senate Bill 152 will ensure that colleges and universities supply all of their students with period products free of charge. In 2020, Scotland became the first country to ensure that menstrual products are easily obtainable and free, a move called Period Dignity. In 2018, Scotland made menstrual products available and free in all schools, colleges, and universities. Rhode Island, with this bill, and one that is sponsored by Senator Lawson, will also be well on its way to blazing a trail to ensure period dignity for all Rhode Islanders. In 2019, Providence realized the impact the lack of menstrual products was having on low-income learners, particularly those who are Latino and Black. Missed school days and missed opportunities like extracurriculars can impact social and emotional health for young people. 61 to 68% of those students that experience period poverty reported experiencing moderate to severe depression. We should be working on destigmatizing menstrual products being widely available to all who need them and make them easily accessible. In 2019, a U.S. survey found that 2/3 of low-income people do not have the resources to buy menstrual products, and at least at one point during the year, and 1/5 struggle to obtain monthly products, at least once a month. This bill is also aimed at being queer inclusive. This is not just a women's issue. This issue is inclusive of all community members, including our trans and non-binary neighbors. I believe that menstrual products should be widely available to all who need them, and that includes trans and non-binary people in our communities. No one should feel shame in accessing period products, not because of costs, accessibility, or because of their gender. When we make these products widely available to all, we truly mean all. And there might be some questions later on about how we intend to pay for this. There are a couple of pieces of legislation in this session that will increase the revenue in Rhode Island in the form of legalizing cannabis sales and also ensuring that the top 5,000 Rhode Islanders are paying their fair share in taxes through making sure that they're paying an additional 5 cents on every dollar that they earn over nearly $500,000. So let us work on ending period poverty for all Rhode Islanders, and let's focus on giving all Rhode Islanders period dignity. Thank you, and I'm open to any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Senator Mack. And do we have any questions or comments for members of the committee?
Madam Chair?
Senator DePalma.
So, Senator Mack, I hope your journey in moving this over the goal line will be quicker than mine. Mine took 6 years to eliminate the sales tax on products. So you'll be in my prayers that it'll take a less long journey than 6 years to remove the tax, which we just did 2 sessions ago, I think. In the fiscal year 2020 budget, I think. It'll be hopefully a shorter journey. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator DePalma.
Thanks, Senator DePalma.
You're welcome.
And at this time, I'd like to welcome Senator Cockin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to thank Senator Mack for putting in this legislation. And, I don't want to speak for all women or people who identify as women, but the fear of not having a quarter, and being in a certain situation and waiting for somebody to walk into the room and give you change or whatever, it's definitely something that has affected, I would imagine, many women and people who identify as women. So thank you for putting this in, plus all the concerns about, people who can't afford the products. It doesn't even, to not even mention the fact that there's women who may use products longer than they safely should. So thank you for putting this in. And also thank you for addressing the funding. I think that, one of the things that we'll, have to think about is how do we make sure that the schools can fund, assuring that enough product is available. So thank you for bringing that up as well.
Thank you, Senator Cockin. I certainly agree, and I'm a proud sponsor of this bill. I do believe that not only the issue that you mentioned about some students are not able to afford these products, but also the financial and how you stated, Senator Mack, that that financial impact to the colleges that is very little. We need to really find ways to make sure that this legislation really happen. Do we have any members of the committee that have any questions or comments? That being none, Senator Mack, if you want to stay for testimony, we do have some people that have signed up in support of your bill. And we're going to start by calling the first person, which is Ella Culper, and she signed up in support of the legislation. Good afternoon, Ella. Welcome to the Education Committee.
Thank you.
We're ready for your testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Ella Culper, and I'm a sophomore at the Wheeler School in Providence. I'm here to support Senate Bill 152 relating to the availability of feminine hygiene products in Rhode Island colleges and universities. I'm urging you to support this bill for two main reasons: the big picture and the personal. In the big picture, this bill will go a long way towards ending period poverty in our state. Experiencing period poverty means being unable to afford feminine hygiene products such as tampons and pads, and studies have shown that in 2020, 1 in 10 female-identifying college students experience period poverty. Period poverty disproportionately impacts students of color, students who come from immigrant backgrounds, transgender, and gender nonconforming students, and it has been directly linked to high rates of moderate to severe depression. That brings me to the personal. As a female-identifying student, I understand the challenges of attending school and having to contend with the discomfort that many experience during their periods. Staying focused through this physical discomfort is challenging enough, and no student should have to face that on top of the stress of being unable to afford feminine hygiene products. Requiring colleges and universities to provide their students with free feminine hygiene products would help create an environment for optimal growth and learning, and it would enhance the quality of education and the quality of life of students who menstruate. As I look ahead to college, I hope to be able to attend a college that provides students with feminine hygiene products and allows them to experience their periods in comfort and with dignity. For these reasons, I strongly urge you to vote yes in advancing Senate Bill 152, and I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you so much, Ella. Well stated. Where are you going to college?
I'm not sure yet, but it's definitely exciting to look at some new
That is great. That is great. Does any member of the committee have any questions or comments for Ella? That being none, thank you so much for testifying today.
Thank you.
Next person that signed up is Emma Mirror from Generation Ratify Rhode Island in support of the legislation. Emma, welcome to the Senate Education Committee.
Hi, my name is Emma Muir, and I'm from the east side of Providence, Rhode Island. I'm here representing the Generation Ratify chapter for Rhode Island. Generation Ratify is a youth-led feminist organization that fights for gender equality. We strongly support Rhode Island Senate Bill 152 on the availability of feminine hygiene products. As a 16-year-old girl who has had to use period products throughout high school, I can personally attest to the necessity of these products. Periods evoke embarrassment for many young girls, transgender or non-conforming individuals. The most anxiety-producing experience is bleeding through one's clothes. It often signifies uncleanliness and poor hygiene. If I did not have access to period products, I would be mortified and probably would not leave my house until my menstruation cycle ended to avoid bleeding through my pants in front of my peers. Being absent from school for so long would negatively impact my educational experience, and many young people face this issue. I am so fortunate to have the funds to purchase period products, but many individuals do not. In fact, sources show that 1 in 10 female-identifying college students experience period poverty. Many Black and Latina students reported high rates of period poverty in 2020, and transgender and gender nonconforming individuals are more than twice as likely to experience period poverty as cisgender people. Period products are a necessity as much as, if not more than, soap in a bathroom is a necessity. So how is it that we can give out free soap and toilet paper, but not period products? We need to make a change now. With that, the Generation Ratify chapter for Rhode Island strongly urges you to vote yes on Senate Bill 152 in support of availability of feminine hygiene products for Rhode Island college students. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for your testimony. I really appreciate you calling, and you did very well. Really appreciate your, eloquency here. So, do you have any member of the committee have any questions or comments for Emma? That being none, thank you so much, Emma, and thank you for explaining the mission of Generation Ratified Rhode Island, which is great. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Next in our agenda to testify is Maeve Wiesen from College Democrats of Rhode Island in support of the legislation. Welcome to Senate Education Committee.
Hi, am I ready to go?
Yes, we're ready for your testimony.
Great, thank you. Hi, my name is Maeve Wiesen. I'm a Providence resident, and I'm also the political director of the College Democrats of Rhode Island. On behalf of CDRI, I would like to express my support for Senate Bill 152. Menstrual products are not an optional luxury. Rhode Island recognized this in 2019 when legislators eliminated the tampon tax, and the passage of 152 is the next step the legislature should take to work toward accessibility and equity around periods. In 2020, 1 in 10 female-identifying college students and almost 25% of Latina college students and 20% of Black female-identifying college students experienced poverty, period poverty. Period poverty can disrupt a student's life and ability to learn, and the legislature needs to take action in order to combat the inequalities perpetuated by period poverty. As college students, we know the importance of having access to menstrual products on campus. It's far from a trivial issue. Not having access to menstrual products can lead to poor mental health outcomes and can inhibit a student's abilities to focus on their schoolwork and social lives. As members of the College Democrats of Rhode Island, we're particularly focused on increasing equity for college students across the state, and this piece of legislation is a crucial part of achieving that goal. I also want to commend the sponsors of this legislation for making it clear that period poverty is not just a women's issue by requiring the menstrual products be provided in the gender-neutral bathrooms. For non-female identifying students who menstruate, periods can be a source of emotional difficulty, and not having access to menstrual products can only exacerbate those problems. I strongly encourage the committee to vote in favor of passage for 152. Thank you for considering my testimony.
Thank you so much for your testimony. Does any member of the committee have any questions or comments? That being none, thank you so much for calling in today in support of this legislation. Next in the list is Morgan Engner, and she's calling for herself in support of the legislation. Welcome, Morgan, to the Education Committee.
Hi, hello.
We're ready for your testimony.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Morgan Honor, and I am testifying in support of S152 to require all universities and colleges to provide menstrual products at no cost to students. I'm the Vice President of Brown College Democrats and can speak personally to the high cost of menstrual products. I want to take a step back and highlight that this bill is really common sense. Imagine if we were having a conversation about providing toilet paper in college dormitories or silverware in the dining hall. However, as a college student, I have to come in front of the Senate today and ask for the right to basic hygiene products. For lower income students, the cost of menstrual products are prohibitive. We should never have students deciding whether they should purchase a book for class or purchase menstrual products. While we are in the virtual environment, I can personally attest to missing days of school or skipping classes before the pandemic because there were no menstrual products available. A simple fix, which the student government instituted at Brown, is providing free menstrual products in all bathrooms. But students should not have to fundraise for this option. Again, imagine if the student body needed to fundraise to buy toilet paper. Colleges and universities should be providing this necessary hygiene product to all. Senators on this committee, low-income students need support to continue their education, and this is a common sense way to do it. I urge you to enact S152 to require all universities and colleges to provide menstrual products at no cost to students. Thank you, and I can take any questions.
Thank you so much, Morgan, for your testimony today. Does any member of the committee have any questions or comments for Morgan? That being none, we really appreciate you calling in support of this bill.
Thank you.
Next in our list is Samantha Silverman, and she's calling in support of the legislation. Bear with us. We're trying to get to her. She's ready? We were able to get hold of her. Samantha, welcome to the Education Committee.
Thank you so much.
We are ready for your testimony.
Okay, so basically this bill is really inspiring to me. I had a class with Tiara Mack, and she's a senator for Rhode Island that really inspires me because her message is that no matter who you are or where you come from, you're an able-bodied you're able to do and dream whatever you want, and just because of your background or anything, you can be whatever you want. And this bill is really important to me to be passed because I think that menstrual products should be available to everybody, because not allowing people to have access to these type of products prevents them from going about their day and achieving their goals, because they have to worry about hiding their menstruation. And I'm sorry, just a little nervous.
You're doing great.
I think that, thank you. I believe that America has a history of placing barriers to women and people with reproductive cycles by not allowing them to have bodily autonomy, and part of this is lack of access to proper care and ability to decide that accessibility and those resources, and not having to worry about one's ability to maintain their cleanliness and their health status will definitely allow people, especially underprivileged people who don't have the funds to afford these expensive products, to focus more on what actually inspires them and drives their passion. And it will drive our society forward, because these people will not have to worry about constantly finding ways to scrap money together in order to afford menstrual products.
Thank you so much, Samantha, for your testimony. You definitely did great, and I agree. Senator Mack is an inspiration, and we need to make sure that the lack of access to proper care and resources are taken care of, specifically for what this bill says. So at this time, I'd like to make sure I ask any member of the committee for any questions or comments. That being none, thank you so much, Samantha, for your testimony today.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a good one.
Next person that signed up to testify is Zoe Mermelstein from the College Democrats of Rhode Island. Zoe, welcome to Senate Education Committee.
Thank you. I am Zoe Mermelstein, a resident and voter of Providence, and I'm calling in support of Senate Bill 152 in my capacity as President of College Democrats of Rhode Island. If you have ever been a college student who has periods, you know that access to menstrual products is not a trivial concern. This is a significant everyday problem for many of our members at campuses statewide, including at Bryant, Salve Regina, URI, Roger Williams, Brown, and Providence College. I am fortunate that I've always been able to afford the products that I need. However, if I could not, like countless disproportionately Black and Brown Rhode Island students, I would fall behind on my classes and receive less value from my education as my peers, since I would have to skip lectures and seminars several days a month for fear of having an embarrassing accident in class. For the same reasons, my social and extracurricular life would suffer. Because I did not have access to basic hygienic products like pads and tampons, I'd probably have to spend extra money on laundry, which is $1.50 per wash and dry at my university, that I definitely could not afford if I were already having difficulty affording period products. My mental health would suffer because I was not equipped to deal with a monthly basic bodily function that society already stigmatizes, because of socioeconomic inequities that are often also stigmatized in college settings rife with wealthier peers. Providing access to higher education for low-income students is not just about getting them enrolled. It is about seeing them through their entire college experience and ensuring that they have the tools to succeed. Providing free access to period products is a relatively cheap and extremely easy fix to allow low-income students to have equal access as their peers to the college experiences they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your testimony today. Does any member of the committee have a question for Zoe? That being none, thank you so much for calling, testify.
Thank you.
Next in our list is Jenna Israel, and she's calling on support of this legislation. Jenna, welcome to Senate Education Committee.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So hi, I'm here to testify in support of Senate Bill 152. I just wanted to emphasize how important this bill is in terms of supporting people across all genders, and how much of an issue it really is about healthcare and how people who menstruate are able to take care of themselves and their bodies, and how genuinely harmful it can be when people don't have access to the necessary products that can make them feel safe and healthy and can actually make them more healthy when they are menstruating. Can you still hear me?
Yes, we can.
And that this is also an issue of class and people who have to weigh the decision of whether or not they should buy food that week or if they should be able to buy menstruation products is really a decision that no person, especially someone who's at school and is thinking about so many other things like their future and their education, they shouldn't be having to make that decision ever at all. And so these are things that should definitely be provided for everyone, so that is they don't have to ever choose between their health or like whether or not they're going to eat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jenna, for your testimony today. We really appreciate it. Does any member of the committee have a question or a comment for Jenna? That being none, at this time, we have concluded with people that have signed up for testimony for Bill 152. At this time, I will entertain a motion to hold.
So moved.
Motion to hold made by Senator DePalma, seconded by Senator Pearson. Clerk, can you call the roll, please?
Chairperson Cano?
Yes.
Senator Gallo?
Yes.
Senator Quezada?
Yes.
Senator Calkin?
Yes.
Senator DePalma?
Yes.
Senator Paulino?
Yes.
Senator Pearson?
Yes.
Senator Seveny?
Yes.
Madam Chair, we have 8 in the affirmative.
Thank you so much. So we have held this bill for further study. Thank you, Senator Mack. And this has concluded our agenda, but I would like to make sure members of the committee know that we have a technical difficulty issue when we had called some of our people that have signed up to testify, and we have missed one person for Senate Bill 462, and that was Andrew Branson from the College Crusade of Rhode Island. So we're going to try to contact him now and take the testimony. And we apologize to Mr. Branson for missing that he's had signed up for testimony today. And thank you to the members of the committee for your patience as well. Mr. Branson, welcome to the Senate Education Committee. And again, we apologize for the confusion, and we're very happy to hear your testimony in support of S462. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Senator Cano, Chairwoman Cano. Thank you for for reaching out. I appreciate it. So I am pleased to give testimony in support of Senate Bill 462 around the College Crusade Scholarship, and thank you for your sponsorship of the bill. So as many of the senators know, the mission of the College Crusade is to prepare and inspire young people to become the first in their families to attend and complete college. We are the state's largest college access program. We serve about 4,000 students a year, and those students range from middle school to high school all the way into college. And we are providing some of the most innovative programming in the state as it relates to academic readiness, social and emotional development, career education, and post-secondary preparation. Our parents and students join because of the programming. The programming is effective. This past school year, we were able to do 41 in-person programs before the pandemic and 100 virtual programs during the pandemic. So we have been we've been going strong throughout the pandemic, and the results are showing. So I know that when Vice President Enright provided her testimony and talked about the college going rate at 58% and then at 68%, last year College Crusaders, the college enrollment rate was 79%, and we are consistently in the upper 70s, and proud that number is higher than the state rate and is an indication of how successful our program is. The programming is a huge component of our work, and then there's the scholarship. We provide a very lucrative scholarship to students that participate in our program. They earn their scholarship through participation hours, and a scholarship for a student that goes to a 2-year college can be $2,600 a year, and for a 4-year institution like Rhode Island College, up to $4,500 a year. That scholarship can be used for cost of attendance, so tuition fees, books, childcare, transportation, living expenses, all the expenses that are really necessary in order to promote college completion. Last year, the College Crusade awarded $3.9 million in scholarships, including $1 million in cash scholarships that we as an organization provided. So the bill that is in front of you on Senate 462 really seeks to make a technical correction to the Rhode Island Promise legislation, and we have been huge supporters of Rhode Island Promise, and I really want to credit what Senator DePalma said in his opening remarks about how the Promise has really created systemic changes at CCRI that wouldn't have happened otherwise. And so we are glad to see that the Senate President is really advocating for removing that sunset. But what this bill does is it would remove this technical change. So because right now, because Rhode Island Promise is a last dollar scholarship, our students that are all low income and first generation, they have their Crusade scholarship applied to their CCRI tuition bill before Rhode Island Promise money does. And what this legislation would do would make our scholarship exempt. So what would happen is our students would get the full value of their College Crusade scholarship, and then they would continue to get their College Crusade scholarship. They would get their full value of their Rhode Island Promise scholarship for tuition, and then they would get their Crusade scholarship from us that would support books and living expenses, et cetera, et cetera. And we're really hopeful that we can make this change because it will affect many students at the College Crusade who love going to CCRI, want to go to CCRI, but also want to make sure that they can really get as much financial aid as they can in order to succeed. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Mr. Branson. We really appreciate the overview, and not only that, but I really appreciate the work that you do every day to impact the students' lives in those low-income communities that really do need your services. So thank you so much to you and your staff. Does any member of the committee have a question or a comment for Mr. Branson? Senator Gallo.
Yes, just a brief comment. I want to thank the College Crusade for all the work they do and have done throughout all the years. You're a huge advocate and you do a great job, and I just want to thank you publicly for all you do. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gallo, and for your leadership and support of the College Crusade over the years. We would not be where we are right now without your leadership and support, so thank you.
Absolutely. This is great. Thank you so much to both. Senator DePalma.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Andrew, one question for you. I'm glad you're here. I thought you'd be on the list because I saw you had written testimony, and I went through that. I guess the question that manifests itself is, if the money, like it does today, does not go towards those students, the flip side is, could you be helping more students in a different way?
Yes. So what's happening is our students are going to CCRI and they're not getting a Promise scholarship, And so as a result, the money that they've earned through the College Crusade is going to pay for their tuition. And what ends up happening is they are losing out on money that they would normally use to pay for books and living expenses. And what it ultimately means, Senator DePalma, is, a student is our students are taking a second job or even a third job in order to complete CCRI because they're not getting the scholarship that they normally expected from us through that sort of cost of attendance.
If I may, Madam Chair, just to follow up.
Absolutely.
So, Andrew, I appreciate that. But it's a sort of a different question because the Rhode Island Promise is the last dollar scholarship, right? Pell grants, all those other kinds of things that come into play, and at the end of the day, it can be the full cost of tuition, or it can be $1, right? If $1 is the minimum, it can be provided. I'm being facetious just to make a point here, but the money that they're not allowed. You still would like to give them the College Crusade money at the same time getting a Rhode Island Promise, or would you deduct some of that? The question really comes, if they didn't get all the money, could you help more students because they're going to get the Rhode Island Promise scholarship, which would pay for the tuition. The difference of that from what you would have given them, would you hold that back, give them the difference, and help other students?
So right now, each student earns their own scholarship. So what is to sort of answer the question, it's one of these things where, Rhode Island Promise is a last dollar scholarship. The College Crusade is also considered a last dollar scholarship. So you get to this point of, well, who's really the last dollar? And the way the legislation is currently written is that the Promise is the last dollar. So if this legislation passed, we would be able to, make sure that all of our students could get the scholarship that they were entitled to, but down the road, it would also allow us to provide even more scholarships to students, especially those that are going to CCRI. So, for instance, if this legislation were to pass, it would free up funds. Right now, the scholarship for students that go to CCRI is $2,600. If this legislation were to pass, it would free up dollars that would potentially allow us to raise the amount of scholarship that we do provide to College Crusade students, and so that would be a great thing for them.
Okay. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Senator DePalma. And thank you, Andrew, for your testimony and for your patience with the little confusion that we have early with not being able to get a hold of you or calling you. At this point, I
always enjoy participating in Senate Education Committee.
Thank you. Have a great night. At this point, we have concluded our testimony and our items in the agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Senator Savani moved motion to adjourn, seconded by Senator Gallo. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Senator.